What's going on, Jeromes? Happy Wednesday. It's our noon Vikings live stream, as well as whatever the hell else is going on in the world. We're going to talk Tajae Sharpe. We're going to talk about all these various things, and it's going to be a good time. Also, we got a ton of Q&A. You guys sent in 101 questions, so we'll get into that. And it's something that we've been doing all week, just streaming for an hour live at noon Central Time. You guys have been phenomenal. I love the live chat. I love everything about it, and it's a lot of fun. Maybe as this off season goes along and everyone's still in quarantine, like maybe we'll make this a regular thing. I don't know, but we'll see. Light up the live chat. Also, let us know where you're watching from. We'll give a couple of shout outs there, as well as if you want to ask a question in the live chat, put a little something in the super chat. A couple of bucks there, it'll be great. So I want to start off. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Big Trouble. Came out in 2002. Now it is an ensemble cast movie led by Tim Allen. It's hilarious. It's got some dark humor in it. It's great. It tanked at the box office because part of the plot is they bring a bomb on a plane, and it can't, look at the date. It was supposed to come out right after 9/11, so it didn't do great, but it is an absolutely effing hilarious movie, and I highly recommend you go out and get it. You can rent it on Amazon for $3, so do that up. But I just wanted to look at this cast first. All right, so Tim Allen, Rene Russo, Stanley Tucci sort of plays the jerk in it. Tom freaking Sizemore. Yeah, Tom Sizemore obviously has his personal issues, but he's a hell of an actor. Johnny Knoxville, when they're trying to make him an actor, remember that? Dennis Farina, R.I.P. Let's see here. Janeane Garofalo, Patrick Warburton, Joe from Family Guy. Ben Foster. Oh, the massively underrated Ben Foster, by the way. Ben Foster, I've been willing to lay out a lot of action. Ben Foster will win an Oscar within the next 10 years. Like every single role that he's in, he's just all in and like creepily. He was Hell or High Water is great. Lone Survivor, The Messenger. Just he gets the movie where he's homeless with his daughter. Forget the name of that movie, but he's phenomenal in that one too. Omar Epps, aka Mike Tomlin, is in this movie. Andy Richter. It's a great movie. So, all right. So Tajae Sharpe. Let's look him up. Tajae Sharpe, I'm really happy with this signing. I think at this stage of free agency, probably about the best that you're going to get at this point. I think he does come in, and I think he does compete for wide receiver 2, 3, 4 with BC Johnson as well as rookies TBD. Check out the channel. We just did a video on him, but you can see he had a great rookie year, 41 catches, 522 yards, and 2 touchdowns. One of those games against the Vikings, his first game ever in the league, and he lit up Xavier Rhodes for 7 catches, 76 yards on 11 targets. So cool. But yeah, just really sort of washed out in Tennessee. They signed Adam Humphries. They drafted Corey Davis, number 5 overall. They drafted A.J. Brown. So it was like, whatever. It does affect the Vikings' compensatory picks since he had an expiring contract. So it does net off against it, but I said whatever at this point. I think it's a really solid signing. I'm really happy for it. All right, so a couple of shout-outs. Blake Beard, Des Monet. Adderley Hoag, Fargo, North Dakota. Let's see here. No Bison. Not Go Bison. No Bison. JD Matt Campbell in California. Shout out. Luke Peterson, Corpus Christi. That's right. Tejas. The great country of Texas. I love Texas, by the way. Nick Schultz, Flagstaff, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. Matt Sturbate, Brainerd, Minnesota. Matt, as you can see, is verified. He is a monthly Jerome. Find out how you can become a monthly or platinum Jerome. Hit that join box down below. Hit that up. See here, one more. Oh, Brian Jorke, Rochester, Minnesota. Shout out. Rochester, Minnesota, the pride of Marcus Sherrills. Yeah, the pride of Rochester, Minnesota. John Marshall High School, Minnesota Golden Gophers. I really hope that Sherrills retires. I don't want him coming back because when he came back last year, he was really bad. It was rough to watch. But all right, so that's Tajae Sharpe. Get into a bunch of real random things. So one of my favorite things is going on a Pro Football Reference and just looking up random stuff, whether it be box scores. Sometimes I really like Heisman voting. We'll get into that. Also want to recap the 2010 NFL Draft. We'll do a mock draft on the Draft Network, as well as, of course, we got your questions. So there you go. Let's see here. Long Pole Skull, Elfline might be bad, but he's not as bad as TJ Clemmings. I mean, to a degree, he's just as disappointing. Also, higher draft status. Elfline was a third-round pick. TJ was or was Elfline a second-round pick? It doesn't matter. TJ was a fourth rounder. Whatever. JD Mack. Oh, shout out JD Mack in the chat. So if you draft a guy like T. Higgins or Chase Claypool to be our big body, go up and get you some wide receiver, do you think it'd be a good idea to get Tavon Austin, DeAnthony Thomas, Taylor Gabriel? I'm down with Higgins, down with Claypool. I really like the athletic upside of both of them. I also like the Gandy Golden kid from Liberty as like a fourth rounder on type pick. But in terms of, Tavon Austin might go down in NFL history as the dude who made the most money for the least amount of output ever. Like Tavon Austin just gets bundles of money and is just bad. DeAnthony Thomas, he's a fine niche player. He doesn't do a lot for me. Like I do remember him in Oregon, like in their inside zone, outside zone scheme. Like he was a bad man. Like LaMichael James was the OG Oregon running back, number 21 in your hearts. He was like 5'2". Yeah, and then D'Anthony Thomas came in number 6, like the Black Mamba. He was a stud. And then just sort of Taylor Gabriel. Yeah. Ian Smith. Zimmer and Cousins are sitting in a room together. What's the conversation like in there? Football talk excluded. Everything besides football, I bet you it is extremely awkward as hell. Because I don't think that they share any common interests at all. Like zero. Like Cousins strikes me as the kind of guy who watches Top Chef with his wife. So I have that in common with Kirk. Top Chef is phenomenal. Our favorite season of Top Chef might be Miami. Vegas is up there, as well as the second season of All Stars. It's all really good. But, I mean, what are they going to talk about besides football? I bet you Cousins is extremely socially awkward. Zimmer's it's not socially awkward. Like, that's not the term, but just, like, quiet. Don't have anything to say. Man, a few words. Like Bud Grant, like Clint Eastwood. I think that's Zimmer. So, nada. The Blair Walsh Project. Do you think Notre Dame is a sleeper pick to make the college football playoff? They play Clemson in the regular season. If they beat them, I don't think they'll beat Clemson. I know that Notre Dame has de facto joined the ACC now, so they play a more regular schedule. I loved and respected Notre Dame when they had the completely independent schedule. Now, I know it's still nominally that. They still play USC. They still play Michigan and all that stuff. But I lived in Notre Dame back in the day where they're just like, we'll play anyone, anytime, anywhere on the table. That's right. No warm-ups, no slappies, nothing like that. Well, we'll play Boston College. But I feel like Notre Dame will never be the power that they once were. And one of the big powers that they had back in the day, well, going down this whole psychological thing, but the country used to be a lot more pious than it is now. So the premier Catholic institution in America, I mean, that was like going to church on Saturday, right? So all the good Catholics from across the United States, especially the beefy offensive linemen from like coal country, like Pennsylvania, they were going to Notre Dame. Yeah. But also a major competitive advantage that they had was the TV contracts. Like whether it be 50s, 60s, 70s, Notre Dame was one of the only teams that had national television audience every single week. And then also that contract with NBC for so many years, that was really big. But now with ESPN taking over, everyone's on national TV. I mean, Tuesday night action, Akron versus Ball State. Get some. It's the David Letterman, Jason Taylor Bowl. Yeah, it's really good. But so I don't think Notre Dame will ever be the power that it once was. I think the luster is starting to come off as well as even though they've relaxed academic standards. I mean, that still certainly is hindering, the overall recruitment base that they can go after. So I don't think Clemson. That's a long answer of saying no. Landon Miller. We should sign Kelvin Benjamin. He's big enough to play left guard. What made you start the channel? I didn't even know that. Did Kelvin Benjamin play last year? I don't think he did. Let me look it up. I'm pretty sure he was OWT out. Yeah, last played in the Chiefs in 2018. Man, like he may be up there with one of the biggest draft busts in a while, in a hot second. Like I know 28 overall, first rounder, bust, but man, that's rough. Made us start the channel. So initially, this all started as an audio podcast, right? And it started week 14 of the 2013 season, and we did audio podcasts because everyone and their mother was doing a podcast, and we just had a YouTube channel as like a extra place to put the audio, right? So, just a blank picture, then the audio played, all that stuff, and then we found out, oh, people were subscribing and getting into this, and then we started making videos, and people like that, and then now we're here. Joe Barton, why didn't the Vikings re-sign Mackenzie Alexander? He was good and drafted in the second round. Exactly. That's my question. $4 million. Get out of here. Jacob Sly, are those Concord 11 DS? Yeah. Well, they're out of frame right. Well, no, they're still in frame. Jordan 11 lows, Concords, where they're. Also, who's your favorite non-Viking in the North? Mine's probably Trey Flowers. I would say, bit of a tough one. I like Kenny Golladay. I guess Zach Zenner doesn't count anymore, right? Because he's not in the Lions. Or did they re-sign him? But the Pride of Egan, yeah. South Metro represent. Yeah, I'd say Kenny Golladay. I like Babytron a lot. Or Cheeseburger Eddie Jackson with the Bears. He's legit one of the best safeties in the league. Oakview. Thielen and Diggs were best friends and one of the best wide receiver duos since Moss and Carter. They were certainly up there. For my money, they're the best duo in the NFL right now. But, I mean, peak Moss and Carter years. Shoot. Get out of here. Mason Sackman, Trent Williams, one time. That's not saying one time. Noodle 130, monthly Jerome. Could you pull up the Vikings 2020 opponents and guess the outcome of each game? Not too in-depth, just like a win-loss sort of thing. Yeah, we can do that. Vikings 2020 opponents. Nailed it. Let's see. Should we go to the Vikings official page? Nah. fballschedules.com. There we go. All right, so bring this into frame. There we go. 2020. So home, Bears. That's a win, dog. That's a win. Falcons at home. Panthers. Hey, Teddy. Treadwell Bowl. Cool. Jaguars. Complete rebuild. Tennessee. Tannehill. Cool. And you get Cowboys at home. I say they go 7-1 at home. And then they split on the road. So they'll somehow lose to the Bears, even though the Bears will go 3-13. That's just the way it goes. They'll beat the Lions, beat the Packers. They will beat the Texans' ass, like badly, like a lot. They'll lose to the Colts, Phillip Rivers. They'll lose to the Saints. They'll lose to Seattle, and they'll beat Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. So 7-1 at home, 4-4 on the road, 11-5, staying alive, get it done, win the North. There you go. All right, so next up. I just love having this side over here, even though we can't stream video because YouTube will kick us out. That's what happens. Next up, Adolfo Flores. Hey, man, we can't have one person just, like, flood in the chat. Come on. There we go. Adolfo Flores. We need to sign Cam Phillips from Houston Roughnecks. What do you think? Yeah, he was the best wide receiver in the XFL. I think he would be a hell of an asset, but I think there's going to be a little bit of demand for him. I wouldn't be shocked if he actually signs for some decent money somewhere. Preacher Paul, afternoon Jeromes. Give a shout out as I roll across Montana on my way back to the Twin Cities. Preacher Paul, Holland et al., Captain 18-Wheeler, shout out to you. HusGamer15. Here. Have you watched Containment on Netflix, and how do you feel about the remaining free agent wide receivers? Now, Containment was that really crappy CW show that, it's popular now on Netflix because of what's going on. Is that the one? I haven't watched that. I watched 28 Days Later, which is a phenomenal movie. Also, I watched Contagion with Matt Damon. It's actually set in Minnesota, which is kind of funny. But also, no one hoards toilet paper, so, I mean, that's fiction. That is absolute fiction. Plus, I think from that movie, that is where the virus starts from a bat. Like, it goes from a bat to a pig, and then it goes to Gwyneth Paltrow. And then she just starts the whole thing. Patient zero. Yeah. Let's see here. Eric Moe. What do you think it actually take to trade for Trent Williams? And will the Vikings have enough cap space to do, even though cash tag cap's a myth? We outlined this the other day. Say Reef straight up for Trent Williams because They can afford Washington can afford to take on Reeves' contract. Vikings would free up $8.8 million. They can take on Trent Williams, even if he does want quarterback money. He doesn't necessarily going to get that. You never get this. But just straight up for picks, Washington has zero leverage, by the way. And the people in the comments section say that Washington has all leverage. Baloney they do. So I think he may get shopped around for like a 4th round pick. I think that actually might be the maximum for Trent Williams. Washington screwed this up. Like last year at the trade deadline, they could have got a first, but nah. Yeah, working out. Bricktop, what do you think about Chase Claypool? Love him. How would you feel about the Vikings drafting him in the 2nd or 3rd round? Probably not 2nd, but 3rd round if he's there. Absolutely for sure. But also, I would like Claypool if he was part of a wide receiver duo. So if they went wide receiver 1st round or in the 2nd round, then they circled around, grab Claypool, because I think it will take a little bit to let him marinate. But I mean, those physical skills and the upside, it's yeah. DOC. Would the Vikings even consider bringing in Diggs' brother? Seems stupid, but I've seen mock drafts take us now. Since Trevin was the one who's really fanning the flames of Stephon leaving town. Anyways, like, it was supposedly his Cardinal shirt at the workout facility. Also, Trevon was the one who put out the Instagram picture of Stephon in a Washington uniform a couple months ago. So I don't think it would work out, especially since the Diggs family, I'm sure, has a bitter taste in their mouth with the way that it went down with the Vikings. I don't see them running back with Trevon. Plus, also, there's a lot of great cornerbacks in this draft, including ones that are a lot better than Trevon. So, yeah. Tyler, who's your all-time favorite Viking? Again, it changes day to day, but Randy Moss. Gavin Rothmeyer. Most recent news on Clowney getting a deal. Is it still possible for us to try and get him? I think he's just out there chilling. Frankly, I think he's just pissed off that he's not getting $20 million a year, which he was never going to get. I mean, Clowney has never had more than 10 sacks in a season. Like, he's not this dominant edge force. He is a 5 tech. He is a 3-4 defensive end. That's what he is, right? So he's not going to get the big edge rusher money. Sorry. That's just the way it is. It's like Robbie Anderson settling for a 2-year, $20 million deal from Carolina. And someone in the comments was talking smart. It's like, well, I guess patience did pay off. But he was looking for $15, $16 million a year, so he's settling for 10. Also, he's looking for a long-term deal. He's settling for 2. So maybe, I mean, if the Vikings are committed to moving to a 3-4, Clowney would be a great get, but yeah. Jonathan Cruz, who do we send the emails to the Vikings front office to get the Trent Williams deal done? Rick@vikings.com. Actually, don't do that. That actually might be a real email address. Brett Versalis. Do you think we should sign Taylor Gabriel or draft a lot of receivers? Draft a lot of receivers. Like, I mean, if you can go young and cheap as opposed to old and cheap, go young and cheap. Roger Evolve for Regret. Would you be okay if the Vikings end up like this? Again, guys, don't send me your mock drafts, man. This is pretty good, though. So Christian Fulton, cornerback at LSU. Josh Jones coming in, left tackle out of Houston. Twan, Jonah Jackson, and Nathaniel Moody. I love it. AGG coming in. AJ Green. TJ's way back there. Yeah, I like it. But again, we'll do one full show that's all just looking at your mock drafts. Yeah. If the Vikings go edge in the first, who would you choose? Kilovon Chason at LSU or Ryder Gross Matos from Penn State? I would probably go Chason, just because I feel like his ceiling is probably a little bit higher. I think Gross Matos is a little bit more of your meat and potatoes, rough and tumble guy. Now, both certainly have value, but if you're just betting on pure upside, I would go Chason. Pulford Skull. Vikings just signed Tajae Sharpe. Thoughts? I think he's a great receiver. Seen him plenty of time in Nashville as I live there. I think it's a great signing. Numbers haven't come out yet. They did say it's a 1-year deal. I'm sure it's for something relatively small. Nickel Roby-Coleman just signed with the Eagles on a 1-year deal. It hurts. Elizabeth, I'm coming. All right, next up, Nick Seipel. How can you wake up at 4 a.m. with so much energy? Also, any particular reason why you usually go live very early in the morning? So here's something, like, a lot of those videos are just scheduled. Like, they've been done the day or night before. So they're just scheduled for 4 or 5 a.m. because I know that people get up early. They want some content. I mean, they lay in the bed and they're like, oh, what do I do? I mean, do I roll over to my significant other and have a little bit of funsies, or do I watch Andy's ass on the telly, or on the phone telly? There we go. Yeah, but I generally do wake up pretty early. Usually about 5:30 ish. On a given day. Adolfo Flores, why hasn't anyone signed Everson Griffin yet? I don't know. Maybe he's holding out for the best possible deal. Maybe he's doing all that stuff. Maybe not. Yeah. All right. So next up, actually, I should nominate a moderator for the live chat. I really should, because I can't do three things at once. I will do that. Jason Warlick. Do you see us trading one of our firsts we got for a couple seconds or thirds? If so, who do we take with those picks? I could easily see the Vikings trading down or out of the first round. So either 22 or 25, they're both in that spot where teams generally like to move back into the first round to get some of the guys who are falling out. And if they're gonna keep trading down and out, I would love to see them packaged for some future picks. We talked about our Trevor Lawrence pipe dream yesterday, and it's just like, send those picks down the line. Because do you really need 17 picks in one draft? I mean, it'd be nice, sure, whatever. But how about just 12 picks this draft, and we send the other 5 for some future sugar value? How about that? Mordecai, please stare at the camera and say, you don't always have to be negative about the Vikings, Corey. Now, is this Trailer Park Boys? You don't always have to be negative about the Vikings, Corey. There you go. Vincent Van Hatten. What do you think will happen with our kick punt return units now with Abdullah gone? Well, is Abdullah fully gone? I just didn't see him sign anywhere. But kick return, kick return's being neutered anyway, so who really cares? But punt return is really big because the Vikings haven't had a good one since Sherrills was actually good a couple years ago. So could be Hughes, could be Holton Hill. They could draft a guy who has punt return ability, as well as Davion Davis, our guy from Sam Houston State, the UDFA last year. It made his name as a punt return god, essentially. Next up, Donovan Lee. Hey man, next up. Now, if you see me talk before, there's always one part of your tongue that you just randomly bite. So I just did that. Great. This is great content, by the way. Donovan Lee. Hey, man, first of all, thanks for making all of our quarantines more bearable. Hey, thank you for coming along, man. My question is, you tend to mention the top 5 receivers in this class, but do you think you can rank them from 1 to 5? So, Jerry Jeudy, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. I would put Laviska Shenault 3. Don't at me. Ruggs. I'll put Higgins 5. Yeah, it's super close, but that's how I'd rank him. So Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Shenault, don't care, Ruggs, and T. Higgins. Eric Hansen. Won't be able to watch live since I'm going to work. Skull from Arlington, Minnesota. I thank you for still working. It's awesome that some of us can do that. Interesting thought. Well, the quarantine lasts all year. All sports start back up at the same time. And we have March Madness, World Series, Super Bowl, and every other sports championship game in the same month. Well, it would be nice, except everyone will be broke and no one will have any money to sports bet with. So, what's the point of sports then? Actually, if the NBA season can resume in a couple months, they should just run the playoffs, and they should run a 30-team March Madness style bracket. So, 32 slots, have 2 teams have buys, and just run it. I just imagine the hope. Like, the Warriors can still run the table and win a title because Seth Curry is back. Just how insane would that be? Plus, I always thought, you know why Game 7s are so exciting? Because it comes down to one game. So why not just play one game? Like, I get it. All the TV, all the drama. You could have 2 to 3 weeks of programming for Game 7, but just have it come down to one game. Just like the college football championship, just like the college basketball national title game, the NBA championship game. Just think about the ratings for that. I understand, like, Game 7 ratings are super high, but what if it was just one game that It'd be like the Super Bowl. It'd be amazing. The White Wolf Witcher. While the Vikings are signing the Roughnecks linebacker, why don't they get the only important Roughneck besides PJ Cam Phillips? Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree. Salvador Estrada. Why were there rumors about us going heavy on the quarterback scouting during the combine if we were to extend Cousins? Well, I believe that was from Matt Miller of Bleacher Report. Now, here's the thing. Like, this is all bullshit season. And not saying that Matt Miller's full of bullshit, but every single insider, every single report, every single so we're hearing report comes from a source that has a vested interest in getting that information out there. So whether it be an agent or a player or an executive or a coach or whatever, they're putting that information out there for a reason. Like, they're not just putting it out there for out of the kindness of their heart. Just think, I'm just doing this for altruistic reasons. No, every single piece of information that goes out there has an agenda attached to it. So take everything with a grain of salt. I always say put actions rather than words. But yeah, I don't think they go quarterback this year. I really don't. Even with 12 picks, it's against Spielman's tendencies, as well as I don't think Cousins would allow it. As well as, all right, so say Cousins plays out his entire 2-year extension and then moves on. So say you draft a quarterback in the first round. Like, say Jordan Love falls to 25. You take him, and then he sits 3 years. Actually, that's a bad example because it's 5th-year option. So say a second round, you take Jalen Hurts. And then he's going to sit 3 years behind Cousins. He's going to go full Aaron Rodgers, sit 3 years. And then you got 1 year left before his rookie deal expires. Yeah. Robert Griffin. Would you have signed Kirk Cousins to extension if you knew it would cost you Stephon Diggs? Best kind of wings. Mine is garlic parmesan. I wouldn't have done the Kirk extension in the first place. But also, I think Diggs was bound to leave this team as it was. I think his problems with the team go far beyond Kirk Cousins. So since Diggs is going to leave anyway, it's like whatever. Best kind of wings, garlic powder. So my favorite is Buffalo with a little bit of. So obviously you do this at home. Smoked wings. So, and, get them on the smoker, get them on the Traeger. It's really great. So they got a nice little crust on the outside, but they're still juicy on the inside. That great smoke flavor. And then what you do, you melt down some butter. Frank's Red Hot. So you got the buffalo sauce. The butter is very important to wing sauce because it helps with the viscosity as well as it's butter. All right, so butter, Frank's Red Hot, garlic powder, and then also if you can get like the powdered ranch dressing, just a little bit of that there, baby, you got stew going. Next up, Johnny Yang Fitness. Favorite celebrity chefs that you love to watch cook? Well, I really like Gordon Ramsay. He's got a lot of really simple, easy cooking tutorials on YouTube, so go check those out. As well as so Tom Colicchio. So you never see him cook on Top Chef, but on YouTube there are some like old school bootleg shows of him cooking. It's great. As well as remember Emerald Live? Back in the day, like it was like a daytime talk show, or it was like the Tonight Show but with cooking, because he had like a band and he had a live audience and he was cooking. I thought that was actually really cool. There, Mason Large. If Mike Zimmer got fired after this upcoming season, how fast do you think he would get another head coaching job? And if so, where do you think it'd be? Well, he was getting the Cowboys job until they won a playoff game. But, I mean, sometimes the world is weird. So, I'm not sure if he would get a head coaching job right away. He would get a very high-end defensive coordinator job immediately, for sure. And, if he, parlayed that defense played great for a couple years, maybe he gets back into the pool. But I think, I think he'd probably have to wait a year, maybe 2. A la Mike McCarthy. Jerome Jabroni. Which would be most improved by the beginning of the season, the wide receivers or offensive line? Offensive line. Yeah, I think that there's going to be a ton of resources put towards the offensive line, as well as I think Drew Samia is ready to step up in year 2, as well as you got another year of Brian O'Neill, as well as Garrett Bradbury. By the way, Garrett Bradbury played great down the stretch last year. Like, everyone remembers the very slow, terrible start, but he played great down the stretch, so don't get that twisted. MIT 03. If you could bring back one Viking in their prime from any time period to play on the current Vikings, who would it be? I don't know, Ron Yeri? Ron Yeri would be a good one. Let's see, Ron Yeri, John Randall would be great. I mean, Randy Moss is an easy one to say, but it's a run first team now. Would you dare say Adrian? I mean, they could have brought Adrian back now. But yeah, I'd say Ron Yeri or Steve Hutchinson or Randall McDaniel. Yeah, O-line. Mick Tinglehoff, he can play guard next to Bradbury. Yeah. Lorenz Kindling. I think the Vikings are legit contenders this year, and could you go through the Vikings game schedule and pick wins and losses? So you already did the schedule. Yeah, I think they are legit contenders this year. They're a team in transition for sure, but I do believe the way that they're going to come out on the other side. Thanks for the content. Love it. Thanks for coming along, man. Love you. Ryan O'Sullivan, better chicken sandwich, Popeyes or Chick-fil-A? So now that Popeyes got all the social media love, and it's a great sandwich, don't get me wrong, but like the OG Chick-fil-A sandwich, like that was the original, man. Like there ain't nothing wrong with Chick-fil-A. So they're both good to me, right? So I understand why this has to be some sort of East Coast, West Coast rivalry when it comes to chicken sandwich. I mean, it's fried chicken sandwich. Just eat and shut up. Husgamer 15 again. How do you feel about Tajae Sharpe? Great. Is Brashad Perriman still available? I think so. Celebrating my birthday in quarantine. Happy birthday. DJ Snippets. Again, guys, don't send in mock drafts, but I will take a look at this one. So Mims, love it. Christian Fulton, LSU, love it. Austin Jackson or Kyle Duggar one time, as well as Tyler Biadasz and Jalen Hurts. Okay, for sure down with the first two. Would like Austin Jackson and Biadasz. Be a pretty good draft. Max Ehrlich. What are your thoughts on trading up in the draft for Derek Brown? Derek Brown is a beast, man. Derek Brown is a man amongst boys. I am a little worried, though, about how his game is going to be when it's man against man. You know, I mean, he is pretty tall for D tackle. He's 6'5". So I think he plays a little bit upright where you can certainly get by, like even in the big bad SEC West, where he was just unblockable at times. Like the penetration level is that of Aaron Donald, but it still is a game of low man wins. I don't think he always plays as low as he possibly could, and he just gets by on pure strength and physical ability. Because also remember, you know, we always say don't scout the helmet, but do you guys remember Nick Fairley? He was the guy who went, was it right after Christian Ponder, where he was a one-man wrecking crew on Auburn. Like he basically single-handedly won them that national title. Like Cam Newton was great against Oregon, but man, Trey Stallings, $4 in Super Chat. Jet sign Perriman. Thanks. Oh yeah, that's right. Nick Fairley was a one-man wrecking crew in that defense. Got national title winning coach Gene Chizik. Sure. But really it was Gus Malzahn, but you know, don't at me. But yeah, Nick Fairley was a one-man wrecking crew, and they came in the NFL, and he was just bad. And that's the difference. Like sometimes just a jump. The biggest difference between the NFL and college, and it's the biggest reason why, you know, all the hypotheticals. Would the number one team in college beat the worst team in the NFL? It all comes down to line play. And some guys are just light years ahead of where the rest of their peers are. So some dominant defensive linemen in college, once they get to the NFL, they're not as effective. I'll put Clowney in that mix too. It's like when you're playing Little League baseball, you know, like 10 years old, and like, there's a kid that can throw straight up gas. Like he can bring it in like the high 70s. But because he matured faster, right? But eventually everyone matures, and then soon you get to high school ball, and then it's this guy who now throws like low 80s. It's like, oh, everyone can whack them all on him because he never learned. He was a thrower. He never learned how to pitch. I'm just combining like 17 different analogies, but you know how it is. All right, Pulford Skull. Would you sign? Did I answer that question? Oh, Derek Brown? No. I would. Well, I think Brown's probably going to go top 5, but I would be down for trading up for Javon Kinlaw for sure. Pulford Skull, should the Vikings sign Winston as a backup for $45 million a year, clear the rest of the quarterback stable? And no. Even though I get it, Mannion is not a sexy backup. He's really bad. If he had to start all 16 games, the Vikings may win 2, both against the Bears. Yeah. Seth Herman, I think we should pick up Jay Ajayi for cheap just to add some run back depth. I'm still so worried about Jay Ajayi's knee. Like that was the knock on him coming out of Boise State, where he had no cartilage in his knee, where it was like full on, bone on bone, just like it just sounds terrible, right? So running backs, you always go young and cheap as opposed to old and cheap. So I would pass on J.J. Mason Large, what's the most recent update on Anthony Harris? I think as of right now, he hasn't signed his franchise tender, so we're chilling. Hunter Williams, Skull from Coon Rapids. Hey, shout out Northern Burbs. Connor Keck, first position we draft. I would wager offensive tackle. Like I really think that given the depth of wide receiver and cornerback, of course, pending how the board plays out, I think they'll grab one of the top 6 tackles. Alex Heatherton, thoughts on taking receivers back-to-back at 89 at 105, potential for some mid-round steals like Tyler Johnson and others. I would be okay. Even though I said that I would love to go wide receiver early than wide receiver middle. If you just went back-to-back middle, it's such a deep draft. I mean, Michael Pittman Jr., you could have Ayuk from Arizona State. You could have Chase Claypool. You could have Tyler Johnson. I mean, there is a lot of great options in those mid-rounds. I won't be mad at all. Cyberbullying. Have you looked at Colin Johnson from Texas, 6'6", wide receiver, similar to Mike Williams? Could be a good mid-round pick. Your thoughts? He reminds me more of, you guys remember Rodney Smith? He's out of Florida State, 6'6", 6'5", a giant receiver, but couldn't get separation. Wasn't that great at going up and getting it. Wasn't great in 50-50 balls, contested catches. I sort of get that vibe from Colin Johnson. Like, I think Sam Ellinger really made him to a degree. So I'm just sort of meh on him. Maya Deshpit, can you compare and contrast T. Higgins and Denzel Mims? Well, Denzel Mims is the combine freak. He's the athlete that you're really going to be wagering on, as well as, I mean, Higgins, he does come from the line of those really good big body Clemson receivers, but he isn't overly fast. He doesn't jump out of the gym. He doesn't do all that stuff. He is pretty decent with body control. But I think that if you're betting on upside, bet on Mims. If you're betting on a guy to contribute right away, I think T. Higgins would be that guy. Although you can't really go wrong with either of them. Zach Ballas. Without spoilers, rate Jimmy McGill's latest stunt on Better Call Saul. I've missed the last 2 episodes. I got them on the DVR. I haven't caught up, but it sounds like it's good. So, DJ Viz Killer. Antonio Gandy Golden one time. The Pride of Liberty. Babytron 2.0. Let's go. Diego Sib. Do you know what happened to Mike Wobschall? Fire, quit, time off? I don't know. It is a mystery. Adolfo Flores. Who is your least favorite star on the Minnesota Vikings? Can I say Pat Elflein? I would say Pat Elflein. Or can I say Shamar Stephen? I'll say Shamar Stephen. Jimbo, where do you live in Minnesota? It's a very specific question and very personal. South Metro. Let's leave it at that. Evan Bjelich. Anthony Harris for Joe Thuney. What might we have to throw in to make it work? We will throw in our finest Sean Mannions. All right. If your plan is to start Brian Hoyer, really, Belichick? Really? Wow. Hunter Williams. Do we still have enough to purchase Trent Williams or Thuney? Vikings right. Actually, let's pull that up. Vikings salary cap and enhance. All right, so over the cap, they're phenomenal at this. Shout out to Jason Fitzgerald, OTC. Right now, the Vikings have projected $13.79 million in cap space. Now, I believe that includes, that has to include Anthony Harris's $11.44 million franchise tag, right? Even though he hasn't technically signed it yet. I believe so. All right. Michael Byers, why haven't the Vikings signed any available wide receiver or cornerback? Now, this is before Tajae Sharpe. We just did a video on available cornerbacks, so hopefully they'll watch our videos because we know that they watch. Well, we know that Kirk watches for sure. Next up, Cyberbully123. Out of the free agents the Vikings trade or didn't resign, which one of them most likely wish they'd stay in Minnesota because their new situation sucks? I think it's going to be Diggs. I really do. Because, man, if you're bitching about your quarterback missing you some wide open spots, Josh Allen is not your guy. Wow. Max McElroy, if the Vikings could do one alternate jersey, what would you want? Oh, man, now I got to look that up. I mean, there was a great OG McDaniel. Like the Vikings throwbacks in general are pretty solid, even though the uniform hasn't really changed in a number of years. Where's that picture? So there's this great picture of Randall McDaniel that I always go to is like, this is the perfect uniform, but I can't. All right. This is all right. This is gonna be relatively close enough. All right. Where'd that go? There you go. Yeah. Aha. Aha. I mean, just the sexiness of it. I mean, when the helmet was actually purple. I mean, these uniforms again, simplicity. Great. You don't need the fancy frou frou. Oh, you don't need the fancy frou frou font. Oh, the numbers have horns on them. You don't need that. No, just straight up. This is the best OG Vikings uniform IMO. Also the alternate whites, or not the alternate, the road whites, just phenomenal as well. I mean that it's a great looking uniform. This is like early '90s. My starter was the jersey supplier of the NFL. Remember the 1 year, I think it was 2002, when it was Puma jerseys? Yeah. Or it might have been 99, like right when the Browns came back, because I had a Tim Couch jersey. Don't at me. Yeah. Let's see. Foreign Savage A7. If you were a restaurant owner, what type of food would you serve? I would do like a Korean barbecue. Korean barbecue mixed with like Americana style Southern barbecue. It could be a good fusion. Like everyone talks about fusion restaurants. Like, oh, this is a Chino Latino restaurant. It's like, oh, cool. You put kimchi on your tacos. Congrats. But there's something about meat and fire that is universal. So if you can combine a lot of like Asian flavors, I almost said Oriental, but I don't even think I get to say Oriental anymore. By the way, ramen noodles. So there used to be a flavor, the blue package, that was called Oriental flavor. They changed it to soy sauce flavor. Even though it's not soy sauce, like it is like a delicious combination of like MSG and some ginger and some ponzu maybe in there. All right. But you know that they changed it. Now this bothers me. All right, Oriental ramen. All right, yeah, boom, here it is. So you got Oriental ramen flavor, and then all of a sudden they change it to soy sauce. Actually, no, we need a better picture. Oh, aha, there it is. Soy sauce. They changed it to soy sauce flavor because you know what happened? It wasn't Asian people who were offended because, by the way, us Asian people, very unoffendable. Like, we don't care because we understand what's important, working and sending our kids to good schools. That is all. It was some suburban Karen who just wrote in, did you know that Oriental flavored ramen noodles is extremely offensive to the Oriental people? She probably says Oriental too. Get out of here. Yeah. W Vang W11 with $5 in the super chat. Would you have rather have Caleb Von Chasen or AJ Spenza? Chasen has more upside, but Spenza seems to be a better fit in Zimmer's defense. I would say Spenza. I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Epinenza, whatever. If they're moving to a 3-4, I actually do see him as like, again, don't scout the helmet, but he kind of strikes me as like an Aaron Campman type from back in the day. I think he'd be great at 5-tech and a 3-4, but also if I can just sign Anthony Zettel. Oh, are we breaking news on air? Anthony Zettel. I vaguely remember Zettel. All right, so let's look him up. We'll save the ramen noodle rant for another day. Anthony Zettel. All right, 27 years old, 6'4", 209, D lineman. Man, yeah, because I do remember him on the Lions. So homeboy has been on like 97 teams. 6th-round pick in 2016. Been with the Lions, the Browns, Cincy, San Francisco, all that other stuff. Blah, 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 blah. You notice, again, this is the type of guy who would fit in perfectly as a 3-4, 5-tech, a 3-4 defensive end, which he's played before. Signs are coming up. Vikings are moving to a 3-4. It is what it is. There you go. Welcome on in. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Going back to Vang. But yeah, like we said, Chasen has like extremely high upside. Probably, I don't want to say his upside is higher than Chase Young, but it might be because Chase Young is already basically at his apex, even though he's going to be Julius Peppers, just an absolute freaking monster. All right, so let's zoom through the rest of these because then I gotta get my ass in gear and do an Anthony Zettel video. We Productions, Sean Oakman, worth picking up? No. Paul Hay with 3. Tank and Trevor full effect. I'm down for whatever it takes. Blah blah blah. Da da da. I don't think you have to tank. What is your MVP and sleeper at barbecues? My MVP is ribs. Sleeper is hot links. So MVP for me for barbecue would be brisket, and the sleeper would be it might be beef ribs. Yeah, where beef ribs are so easy to do because you just put them on. You don't need to spritz. You don't need to base. You don't need anything. You just let them sit for like 5.5 hours, and they're phenomenal. They're just so good. Yeah. Hunter Williams. Where is the best spot to eat and drink when you can watch the Vikings? The wide receiver we got is a good addition. Best spot to eat or drink. So, again, I don't really know in terms of the game day experience, especially in the Twin Cities, because for every game day, I'm here. I'm in the studio. I'm watching the game. Yada. So I'll have to defer. But just in terms of eating in general, I love Revival. Fried chicken is the best. Get the nugs. Yeah, so the nugs are just like instead of traditional fried chicken. If you just really want the batter, which I mean, who doesn't, right? They're just little pieces of chicken breast, and then they do them up like nuggets. It's amazing. Hoban, if you want Korean, South Metro. Cam Bay is great for pho. God, what's that place in South Minneapolis that I always promote? Blue Door Pub, phenomenal for the Blue Seas. Prefer them over Matt's Bar and 5A Club. Don't at me. See if it was Kona for sushi. Quasi chain, still really phenomenal. Manny's over Murray's. They're both really good. Yeah. Mario Carmona, top 3 favorite TV shows of all time. I would say Breaking Bad 1. The Office 2. I mean, The Office is extremely rewatchable. And number 3, it's close. Sons of Anarchy is really good. Except I love watching Sons of Anarchy, except I've never had the inkling to rewatch it. So I don't know what that says. See here. Boardwalk Empire was phenomenal. I think Billions is really good. Band of Brothers, if that counts as a TV show. It's more of a miniseries. What Ozark's really good. Oh, House of Cards was phenomenal. Until stuff happened, that's more than 3. Vikings Lobo. If you could put one former Viking not named Randy wants to play on this team, who would it be and why? Again, Ron Yeri, Randall McDaniel, Steve Hutchinson, and let's go. Feel bad for Gary Anderson. W Vang 013 $5 super chat. Vikings just signed Anthony Zell. Thoughts? Moving to a 3-4. Moving to a 3-4. It's happening. Jerome Shalom. Feel bad for Gary Anderson. Put him in the Ring of Honor. Nay. Doc, how do you feel about the XFL guy we just signed? He's a tackling machine. He's awesome. Skull Productions, $2 super chat. We have signed DN Anthony Zettel. Nailed it. Next up, Bailey Ramacher. I really think Mims, but I don't think we need a wideout first. Top 5 tackles, Austin Jackson. At 22, first to take. Oh, Jesus. I agree. Alex Heatherton. Who are the players we absolutely cannot pass on if they fall to 22 or 25? I would put Javon Kinlaw, Mekhi Becton, Judy or Lamb. Tua. Gosh, I would say Justin Herbert. I don't think he gets that far. But that'd be crazy, though. CJ Henderson, for sure. Akuda, I don't think we'll get to 22. Derek Brown, if he got there, sure. Yeah. Nursad G. Packers won the division in the offseason last year and the draft the year before. Do you think they're part of the madness overhaul you see today? Optics, no. Devin Gonzalez, will Elfline remain a Viking? No. Hunter Williams, the North Burbs is where it's at. Are you in the North too? No, in the South. Brett Vuvuzela. Last question. Do you see us taking quarterback in the draft? I would love to, but I don't see them doing it. We Productions, do you think Josh Gordon could be a good replacement for Diggs? Nope. Vincent Favorite, how much dirt is in a 5x6 by 2.5 foot deep hole? 75 square feet? See if that's right. Oakview. I don't think we should draft a running back because we still got Cook, Madison, Boone, and Amir. Amir may be gone. I would not mind taking one because of Cook's health, as well as potentially to take his leverage out of the contract negotiations. So, honestly, third round, Zach Moss is there, Jonathan Taylor's there. Be pretty tempting, or at least take a day 3 running back for sure. You got 12 picks for God's sake. Quarter Mike, what's the minimum amount of wins for Zim Rick to be here in 2021? I would say 11. It's pretty high. It's pretty high. Mr. Popo, give me your assessment of Ben Gedeon so far in his young career with the Vikings. Do you see us hanging on to him because he's the Pat Elflein linebacker, in my opinion? I think he is a perfectly good special teamer / backup. I don't think he's a starter. I don't think he's necessarily going to develop into a starter, but I think he would be much better at middle linebacker. But of course, Kendricks has that covered. So they're just trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, having him at weak side linebacker. I think Eric Wilson is much better at weak side. That's why he's been starting. But Gedeon, he's a nice piece. He was born 30 years too late. Like, he would have been a great old school middle linebacker, slobber knocker, type dip buckets type, right? But not so much in the modern game. Sign Zettel, defensive end from the Niners. Yep. Jalen Rieger is Diggs' replacement. I do like Rieger. Prior to TCU, 5'11", $190, I believe. He is super interesting. Alexander Garcia, do you think Diggs' brother will hold out if we draft him? Yeah, I think you're just inviting more drama and more consternation, so screw that. King Duck Cat, would you trade all your picks we just got from the Bills for Amari Cooper? Not at $20 million a year. No. Tommy Litz, will there be a 2020 NFL season? Yes, there will be. Alex Heatherton, thoughts on Tanner Muse in the mid to late rounds? Big, strong safety who plays over the top. Sure. Jacob Worley, next year starts the first 17-game season. Who sets a new single-season record? Jameis, he's going to throw 31 picks. You hate to see it. Max McElroy, Vikings should go back to the Randy Moss away uniforms with the yellow and purple striping over the shoulder. I agree. Maybe as an alternate uniform, definitely. Not a question, but what are your thoughts on it? Yeah, I am fully in on that. Harvey, how many more we got? All right. Harvey Melber, trade Kirk and our 4th rounder in 2021 to San Francisco for a 3rd round Deebo Samuel. I mean, yeah. Then offer one of our 3rds, 2021 for Deshaun Watson. He would be 26 at start 21. For a great, screw Sean Madden. It would be great, except Kirk has like $97 million in dead cap this year. I don't think the Vikings could just eat that. Even as a June 1st cut. Let's see here. Eric Normal, I sure hope Vikings nail it in this year's draft. Mediocrity is not going to cut it. Take a look at who we play, and with Captain Mediocrity leading the ship, we're doomed. I agree. Hunter Williams, who's the biggest bust in the 2020 draft, and who could the Vikings bust be? I think Burrow. Burrow was great, just like a shooting star 1 year. College football, he was great last year. You get a lot of help. Great offensive line, great weapons. Of course, Joe Brady was phenomenal as well. I'm just a little worried, him going to Cincy, that it's not going to work, right? And also, he's a bit of an older prospect as well, so that window is a little bit smaller. Yeah, I think it could be Joe Burrow. Next up, Scumbag Pine. If Patrick Mahomes is 99 Madden, then in your opinion, what should Cousins be? 83? Zach Dragon. Who do you like more, T. Higgins or Justin Jefferson for the Vikings? Oh, completely different skill sets. But given the Vikings situation, I like Higgins more just because Jefferson is purely a slot guy, and Thielen does have that on lockdown for the time being. Ian Smith. Why do you think we have whiffed on getting our franchise quarterback for so long? If the scouting department not have a keen eye for it, is it not being aggressive? I think it's part. I think it's part luck. It really is puck luck. Like, if Tom Brady had been a 5th round pick to the Bengals or the Browns, it went over. Like, if Tom Brady had gone where Spurgeon went and gone, he probably doesn't become Tom Brady. Or if Drew Brees had gone to Miami instead of New Orleans, I don't know if Drew Brees would have been Drew Brees. So part of it is luck. Part of it is bad luck, with Teddy's leg falling off, etc. And part of it is, if Christian Ponder hadn't become Senior Bowl MVP, I don't know if the Vikings draft him at 12. Yeah, 12. I don't know if that happens. Next up, Build Your Mind. I would really like to hear your thoughts, opinions on the rest of the NFC North so far. Most of the Vikings fans are around the North. Yeah, we're going to do a video looking around the other teams' free agency so far. The Bears, LOL. Like, really? Trading for Nick Foles in that contract and signing Jimmy Graham and also giving Jimmy Graham a no-trade clause? Like, who's going to trade for that bag of dicks? Like, who's going to do that? No one. Lions, coming off a 3-12 in 1 year. You just hate to see it. Basically signing all the Patriots. Packers doing nothing, which, they're going back to the Ted Thompson ways. Sure. Yeah. Hunter Williams, last one. How many wins will the Vikings have in 2020? 11-5. Well, I guess 11-6. Well, is the 17-game season on for 2020 officially, or is that next year? No, I guess we'll find out. I should probably know. But that is it. I'm going to wrap up the live stream. Guys, thank you very much for coming along. It's always a lot of fun. We're going to crank out this Anthony Zettel video here real quick, so stay tuned for that, as well as check us out at noon tomorrow. We'll be back here for another, I say hour, but we did 55 minutes today because I'm lazy. Yeah, but love you guys. Skull, production value.